agree with Doug's thoughts going through his mind right now that there's a lot of thought has to go into this. And I'm going to, Reeve Miller, you wanted to speak again?
No, go ahead.
Okay, then, Councillor Mackay.
Watch it. Okay, in Ottawa, when they have a storm, they have a parking ban. So if it's a storm on Tuesday night, parking ban in effect. And that's instead of a night that has no snow, just have a parking ban. Like people know if it's a storm, don't park. And where my son lives in Ottawa, when they're doing cleaning the banks, they have signs they stick in along the way, and you know the bank's going to be clean. It's just this cardboard signs. That might be an idea.
Definitely, we can look into all other alternatives. Bill would have to look after putting up signs in. The question, I guess, is we need direction on these tickets, because the longer the tickets get going, they start getting registered to people's licenses, and it gets harder for us to rescind them. So we need direction.
You're drafting a motion. We'll rescind them. The consensus is, I'm reading, we'll rescind what we have so far, and I need a consensus of rescinding. Okay, perfect. Councillor Reeve.
Yeah. It could Miller. Maybe be a solution that we don't have to, like, we can work on the policy, on the bylaw to suit later. And you say maybe for liability reasons we need a bylaw about parking. That's fine, but it's our choice whether we want to enforce it or not. All I'm saying is no enforcement till we're sure of what it is we're enforcing, and we get the message out to people. Then everybody leaves here tonight knowing that it's solved temporarily till we think it out.
Councillor Jackson.
I think the one thing that is important, though, that is still enforceable with regards to fire lanes, and with regards to any issues in the schools, that is important. If it's with regards to winter control, winter snow removal and winter snow plowing, then I would say that we don't issue until we resolve that. But definitely the fire lanes, and unfortunately Gould Street is affected by the fire lanes. But I would like to see, even though that there was some tickets issued on that street, I still would like to see those rescinded, because now those people are definitely aware that there are going to be ticketed. If they weren't aware before, they certainly are aware now, and will take precaution with regards to parking. I know with regards to the house party that was there, certainly there was school property across the road that there was, enough parking that could have happened and could have easily walked to. It's a matter of education, but of utmost importance is that we make sure that the fire trucks can get out, and that's still enforceable, I think. So everything else other than winter control is enforceable at this time, I would say.
The other point that
this bylaw still is alive until it's rescinded or
right.
Like that. Terry, on your other I guess comment was, we did stop and sending out Jim the last time.
We also have to be aware of the fact that we have to make a presentation to the county for all of our county-owned roads to have a bylaw that they will support us in order to move forward. That has to be first and foremost.
And that will be looked after, I guess, as we go forward.
Yeah, we could we could push ahead with that. We can't push ahead with that. All right. There's always a woman within the realm of my decision making. Councillor McLaughlin.
Just a bit of clarification. I'm confused over on Gould Street. Where is the no parking zone? I know there's one sign, but is it the whole street? Is it just in front of the fire hall? Nobody could, and I'll be as bad as the next one. It's very hard to figure out where it is. There's only one sign if I'm correct.
We'll have to, I guess it's sort of vague because we want to be able to get the fire trucks out, but we also want to leave spots for the firefighters to park. That was one of the big things, was having a spot for the firefighters to park.
Well, there's the whole garage area, is there not?
Not always, not always. It depends on what's going on. If they pull in, especially through the day, if the crew's in town doing snow removal, I can have 5 tandems, a snow blower, and 2 sidewalk machines parked in the garage there. Get a fire call,
Well, all I'm saying is that there's, and I'm on, there should be better signage, yes. That's exactly, yeah. There needs to be better signage there. And when we're talking about signage, and this is maybe a little bit off the topic, Bill, was there not supposed to be bus unloading signs? Was that, I remember that from way back, but never seemed to go anywhere.
No, we put 2 up where it was requested, I believe. I remember calling for the locates.
Okay, I guess maybe I'm not educated enough because I've not seen them.
I'll check it out tomorrow, but
Okay.
I remember getting the locates done.
I remember the discussion and everything, but I've never seen, if you would check that out and bring it back, that would be great.
I see Mr. Laronde here, and I know he lives on the corner of Gould Street and the school property. I think it's Crawford Street. It's not Crawford Street.
No.
Cowlick Street. If Mr. Meisner can indicate to him perhaps, or to some of the residents, where exactly they are allowed to park on Gould Street would be most helpful with regards to that no fire parking.
Yeah, we'll put some better signage up, absolutely. I'll go over with the fire department and we'll get it figured out better.
And until such time, there won't be any tickets issued then? Is that okay?
That's the direction that we're getting, yes. So I guess the direction that we're getting, that you want us to work on this bylaw and bring it back to you for approval at the next meeting then, or whenever you have the committee meeting. Okay.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Just in this conversation, I get confused because we're now talking about Gould Street, and are we talking about the fire, the in front of the fire station, not ticketing there? Is that what?
I think she's referring to down at the corner where Ron and Elmer actually park.
Okay.
It's kind of off the road, but it's a paved portion, so it looks like it's possibly the road.
Okay.
It's not near the fire station.
No, I just as long as clarification, and I think if we're going to do that, we need to do some more investigation, because right where Ron is, when you go to turn the bus, if there's a car there, you're going to get hit. And so I think we need to put up some more no parking. That would be one area that I would like to maybe talk to the bus companies, or I don't know where. I don't know who it is, but if we're going to do this, but I think we need to move on and do it in committee.
Moved by Terry Miller, seconded by Charlene Jackson. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region agrees to rescind all parking tickets that have been issued to date while the parking bylaw is being revised. Infrastructure related to issues other than winter control will continue to be enforced. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Much appreciated. Moved by Charlene Jackson, seconded by Chris Olmsted. Be it resolved that the Council of Whitewater Region support the County of Renfrew's resolution that the 4 municipalities of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, Laurentian Valley, Whitewater Region, and the City of Pembroke agree to jointly pursue the acquisition of the abandoned CN rail corridor running from Algonquin Park to the Quebec border. The County of Renfrew will coordinate coordinate the discussions with CN Rail and the 4 municipalities. CN will be notified of the municipal intention of acquisition and also ask CN to hold in abeyance any sales to the public to maintain a continuous corridor. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just going over Paul Morrow's letter that he sent, and if you look at item 2, it says each municipality appoint a staff and elected representative. Are we going to move forward on that?
I'll speak to that, I guess. The first thing that we were trying to do is get something to CN to stop them breaking up and selling parcels of the CN rail line. And then we will move into those recommendations that each municipality have a committee member and the setting up of a committee. That was the intention.
Just as long as it hasn't been forgotten.
No.
And I'm assured, Nary, at the moment, it hasn't.
It hasn't. And I furthermore believe that Councillor Olmsted has taken up the flag and is running at full pace in that area.
Just that in the correspondence, it said appointed.
Yes. So. Well, we will definitely appoint the least capable of resisting. More questions? Okay. Moved by Kathy Regier, seconded by Dave. Resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve the changes made by the Mayor to the appointments of the Ottawa River Power Corporation, Hal Johnson, and the Ottawa River Energy Solutions, Benny Tracy. I'll give you a little quick somehow they put the wrong names on, and because we were getting down to business, we chose to go ahead with what they had for a year, and at that point we can change again. It's just easier. They're both very important committees.
If we're going to appoint this gentleman, maybe at some point we could have him come in front of council, because I, as one of the councillors, have no idea who this gentleman is. So I certainly, if he's going to represent us on a board, I would think it would be a good idea that maybe we could have him come in front of us.
I believe I am going to ask him to make a presentation, hopefully at the next council meeting, from Ottawa River Energy. Okay. Councillor McLaughlin, would it be all right to have him present to a committee meeting so that we could meet him?
It would make no difference to me, council or committee meeting. I think we're all represented on both, so that would be just fine.
I will ask him. Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Chris Olmsted, seconded by Charlene Jackson. Be resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region agrees to extend the council meeting of February 18th, 2015 until 10 p.m. All those in favor? What's that? passed. We know we're gonna be past there, we'll go ahead and do it. You gotta make them stop beating on me. I beg of you. Okay, I'll turn this over to Christine for the next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Muskrat Watershed Council will be coming to give you an update. I believe it's March 4th. I don't have my committee schedule with me at the moment. However, they are asking for a generic support letter because they continue to know that they're registered as a not-for-profit organization. They continue to try and find funding to support themselves. So that's why I drafted this for the mayor's signature. Great, thank you.
Just to the CAO, if you could, when you decide on the date, if you could let me know at what time the watershed, Muskrat Lake Watershed Committee is going to come to council?
Yeah, I'm positive it's part of the March 4th committee agenda, which is in the evening.
So, yeah, I think that's the agenda that you sent out, that's going to be...
Well, these agendas seem to be changing daily. They're
Yeah.
very fluid.
Okay,
but it will be part of that meeting.
when you get a firm date, if there's any changes, because I would like to know.
Yep, I'll make sure everyone's advised, yes.
Very good, thank you.
Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region awards the Forsters Falls Library addition and renovation tender to Harris Construction for the bid amount of $75,504.45, based on the recommendation letter from Jerry Morris of Morris Thiemann Architects, Inc. This project is being funded by the Whitewater Region Public Library Board and an Ontario Trillium Foundation grant of $73,000. Any discussion? Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just wondering, does Doug want to speak to this before we vote on it?
Yes, we had 4 tenders in, and Mr. Harris was the lowest tender. I have checked with Marlon LeBeau if they were satisfied with it, and she said yes.
Thank you.
We will prepare a contract whichever way you want us to do.
Councillor Olmsted.
Have we done a background check on Harris, or have they done work for us before?
They haven't done work with us before, but Jerry Morris has did some background work done on him. And actually, I was in McNabb Braeside. He did work for us in McNabb Braeside, and he was fine.
Councillor Mackay.
So, they're gonna be getting $75,000 from us, and they get $73,000 from the, Trillium, is that right? No? Did I read that wrong?
Yeah. Councillor Regier.
So the Trillium Foundation has been granted $73,000. The total project is $75,000.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
It did seem like a lot of money.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You're the best.
You're welcome.
So basically, Councillor Mackay, the library board will be out on the limb for approximately $1,500. $2,500. I said approximately. All those in favor? Opposed of any? Carried. Oh, yes.
Not the temporary relocation of Foresters Falls, the temporary relocation of the library.
Yeah, the item number 8, I'll get Christine to talk to us on that.
I realize with a agenda, the temporary relocation of Foresters Falls. Don't panic, please, if you live there. That's not what I meant. It was the temporary relocation of the Foresters Falls Library. And Marcia has been in touch with Jardine Lloyd Thompson, our insurers, and they basically said they need a written confirmation of the value of what's being moved. Of course, if there was, an issue that books were damaged or something had to be replaced, we have to have an accurate evaluation. And then they go on about if the renovations are over $1 million, there's another process, but obviously they're not because we just saw what the number is. So, we can satisfy the insurer's requirements, and this seems like a reasonable request to use the rink building after the skating season is done as a temporary library while the work is being done, and that way Foresters Falls is not deprived of their library.
Moved by Kathy Ragier, seconded by David Mackay, be resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region grants permission to the Whitewater Region Public Library Board to use the rink building for a couple of months in late spring, early summer of 2015 to store library material and use a facility as a library while the Foresters Falls Library is undergoing renovations and expansion. All those in favor? Discussion, if any.
This I'll direct to the CAO. I just wonder, has anybody or have our employees been asked who's going to move this stuff?
I haven't been involved in that. This is the library board's project, Councillor. I'm assuming that they have that well in hand, but I can certainly contact CEO LeBeau to confirm that.
Okay, that would answer my question, if that could be done, and maybe if the rep would check into, maybe talk to the library. I don't know when the next library board meeting is. Next Wednesday? So you don't get a Wednesday off then?
If it's all right with everyone, I would prefer then to leave that with the committee representative, and you could report back to council. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we, again, have contacted our insurer, and that's what they need to do, add us as an insured. That means if there's a windstorm and the tent blows down, and heaven forbid that happen on someone's wedding day, but that the municipality is saved harmless. So there is a process, and that works really for any special event that's being held on a municipal property that we're named as an
park?
I don't know, and I guess my first question to her would be, that might be a moot point if they're not planning on, but I can certainly ask about it.
Okay. And second part of the question is this person a resident of Whitewater? Do we know?
I don't know, but I will ask her.
We check?
Would that have an impact on your decision?
Probably not.
Probably not. Nice to know.
You're just looking to see if you're gonna get invited, Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just wondering if they're going to put up a tent, because last year we ran into trouble with a tent going up and no locates done. So I think that would be one, and the main man just left to be asked, but I think that's something that needs to be asked as well before this goes.
We would require locates for a large tent going up, eh, Bill?
That's starting to become an issue, yes, it was brought to our attention last year, tents apart, the pegs were put in near the gas that runs down Cowan Street, so, yeah. That's up to the tent people that are putting it up to get the locates.
It is actually their responsibility.
Yeah, but I can certainly make sure that she's aware that it's required.
Actually, they could use our number, locate number and information.
That would
We
be up to them,
sure that,
though.
that way to them to do it, but that way we're absolutely sure that it has been done, and there's no liability to us if there's locates done in our name. But anything where you drive, even a picket now, when you drive it in, has to have locates, eh? Any more questions?
Just
Councillor McLaughlin.
This is the first time we've had this kind of a request that I can remember. So I just wonder, because it's a person, one person. I know we get every year we have the gospel tent that goes up, but that's a group. This is an individual that's doing this. So this is where I kind of hesitate. I'm kind of like think, well, are we starting here with because if we grant this one, how many more requests are we going to get? It's the 11th of June or July, I think. It's just thoughts, and I don't know. That's the only place I would even think about hesitating.
Christine, go ahead.
I'd like to suggest that if you could look at this from an economic development point of view, it might be wonderful if we had a beautiful wedding happening in our parks every weekend.
I agree.
If there's no liability or cost to us or inconvenience to other members of the community.
That's where I would, because it is a trailer park that we have. As long as there's no inconvenience and there's lots of room, I have no problem. But whenever it becomes an issue of trailers and taking up spaces, how long is this thing? Is this a one-day event? Is it tent go up one day, come down the next day? Maybe is another question we need to ask. How many days?
Probably the tent would go up a day or two in advance. Depending on location, that may not be anything to affect us.
I will find out.
So, are we tabling this motion, or are we passing this motion? Councillor McLaughlin.
I wonder if we should just table it until the CAO comes back with our answers for our concerns? Or can we move that into our motion some way?
The difficulty is that now that we're only meeting once a month, I'm sure this lady would like an answer much sooner than March 25th. So if you will leave it with me that I get satisfactory answers on your concerns, and go ahead and pass it, but I'll call in the dogs I'll certainly alert you if there's anything I discover in my investigation that is troublesome.
Councillor McLaughlin.
exactly what the CAO said, because we're having problems here, and that may be something needs to be brought back and looked at again too, is maybe we need to have more than one council meeting so that we could deal with something like this within a two-week time frame rather than a month. The same thing happened with our minor variance. If we could deal with it somewhere, and that's what my personal thoughts are, and I think I've discussed that with the mayor before, so it may be something that needs to be brought forward and looked at.
Councillor Jackson?
With regards to a minor variance, and if it's on a committee meeting, if there is a requirement of a special meeting for a specific item, there's no reason why it can't be added to the committee meeting time period as well. But to have a full council meeting and committee meetings on top of that, I think we'd be getting into too many meetings in a month.
Councillor Regier?
We're getting off topic here, and I just wanted to come back to the focus, and this could perhaps be brought forward to a corporate services, Councillor McLaughlin, to a corporate services meeting your concerns, but for tonight's purpose, I think we're just a little bit off topic here. Thank you.
Thank you. One concern I have, and you all need to be aware of this, is that our committee agendas are growing larger and larger because material gets moved off out of the main meeting into the committee meetings, and they're gaining weight at an enormous rate. And I'm doing the best I can to contain this information, but obviously we spill over at every meeting we're having. In time, once we get caught up on all these issues, for now, just for expediency, if you will leave this with me, if you pass the motion, leave it with me, I'll get the answers. If there's anything alarming in this, I will certainly alert you and put the whole thing on hold. And then I do think it would be wise for us to come up with some kind of simple policy for future requests of the same nature.
Councillor McLaughlin?
But on the same hand, I have to agree with Councillor Regier. I think that we need to bring this, maybe the discussion that we were going to have, bring it to corporate services agenda, and we could look at it more. Regarding the meetings. That's just something that I think needs to be looked at.
Any further discussion? We're going to go to a vote. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. We need to get this girl married first. Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region agrees to enter into services agreement with Cogeco Cable Canada to erect 2 billboards in the Whitewater Industrial Park, one 16 times 8 feet and a second 12 feet times 8 feet. The township will have the 2 billboards built and erected and rent them exclusively to Cogeco for a period of 40 months for a one-time fee of $18,000 each, including creative artwork. This $36,000 rental fee will be paid by Cogeco. The purpose of this project is to promote the availability of Cogeco fiber optic services in the Whitewater Region Industrial Park. All those in any discussion?
I guess my first concern is that it appears that we're entering into an agreement. There's a number of highlighted items on the agreement. I'm wondering if a bylaw is going to be coming forward with regards to entering into the agreement itself, and two, what are the highlighted items, if somebody can speak to that with regards to the highlighted items.
Christine?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why they're highlighted. I guess there is some information that still needs to be filled in here regarding our fax number and our address. I would assume, now again, this is just an assumption, when you're looking at 6.4.11 and 6.4.2, they must have been highlighted. Andrew, do you have any knowledge of why they're highlighted?
No, I don't know.
No, I just,
Councillor Jackson.
Perhaps whenever those items are filled in, that we can have a bylaw to enter into the agreement, for a rental agreement with, Cogeco
yes.
at that time.
Yeah, I can bring that back to, it won't make any difference, Andrew, if it doesn't, we can't dig the ground now anyway.
Nope.
March 25th, so, I'll set this aside and draft the bylaw. I apologize, I should have done that, that just got away from me. So, that'll come back to you in a month's time.
Councillor Olmsted.
So I just want to be clear on the cost and
Pay everything.
and rent. So it doesn't cost $18,000 each to erect these, including creative artwork, etc.?
They're doing the artwork, well, the artwork's already been done, there's a sample of it there, which is
Yeah, I have it.
stunning. I believe, Andrew, that you have looked at prices and that we can bring this, the agreement is for up to $36,000, that we will bring it in under $36,000.
There's lots of room in this budget.
So, sorry, just to be clear again, they're building, they're paying for and erecting these, and then we're renting it back to them?
They give us a check 3 months before we build it.
So we are building it
Yeah, we'll build them and erect them.
at
All of
Whitewater's
those-
cost, and then $1,000.
Right.
Gotcha. And do we have any idea what the cost is to build these? Obviously, it's not going to be $36,000, but
It should be much less than $18,000 each.
But you've already got quotes, do you not?
I've gotten quotes, not very accurate quotes, but anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per billboard.
But then there's installation.
There's some fees as far as the one on the highway. On Highway 17, there's yearly fees, so it has to cover that as well. And also contingencies if there's any repairs to be done.
Councillor Jackson.
For a 40-month period, is $36,000 or $18,000 apiece a fair market value for rental of billboards?
It's a very good deal for the township.
We have some costs that we're going to be incurring in the industrial park. This would be just a godsend for us. Excellent. Any other, sorry,
I
Councillor
think,
Olmsted.
personally, just being a detail-oriented guy, I'd really like to see what those costs and everything adds up to before we actually pass a resolution. That, you may hit rock a foot in, and then all of a sudden you're blasting and whatever, and their cost may escalate. I'd really like to get a good idea of what the balance sheet looks like before we...
Okay. Andrew will work with me, and we will draft a full costing report to come back to you with the agreement and the bylaw for March 25th.
Is this a time-sensitive issue?
Well, we can't dig the ground now anyway, not really.
Councillor Jackson.
Typically, though, for a rental of a billboard, the billboards are erected by the owner of the billboards, and then they're rented, and whatever artwork is put on by the renter itself. Now, what happens to this billboards whenever the 40 months has expired?
Then the township owns those billboards, and we can rent them out to someone else if we'd like.
But we own them now.
When they're built, we'll own them.
Yeah, but we're going to own them from the time that they're erected. It's not like we're not going to own them throughout the time period. So what I'm saying is if it's going to cost $10,000 per billboard, then it's only going to be a benefit of $16,000 for 40 months? And is that a fair market value for a rental, including, then take off, like the artwork, that should be their cost.
Yes, it is, and that's built into the agreement.
It's all built into the agreement. I just want to make sure that it's fair. I have no idea what billboards go for. They're all over the place, so I'm not in the business of billboards.
Christine?
The other, we will do a full costing on all of that and lay it out in chart form so that every nickel is clear. They have agreed to pay for the artwork. It's in the agreement. And there is one further benefit to the municipality. If you look at the artwork piece, which I somehow don't happen to have, anyway, you've all got it in your package. It's also a great promotion for the Whitewater Industrial Park as well. So there's an added benefit to the township in that we have free promotion, and the sad-looking billboard that's all faded and about to fall down it will be removed, and this fresh new look. So we'll bring all of the prices back to you just to make sure that everyone's comfortable before it gets signed up. Yes.
So this is tabled?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Armstead?
The one other way to handle this is just put a threshold. If the costs are above X or sort of below X, then we've got to come back, but we still need a bylaw. Okay.
This will work perfect. Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region awards the 2015 to 2019 5-year waste collection tender 2 for the amount of
Stephen, you probably want to come up.
yes,
And you've got in your package.
they will do this one half at a time, okay?
You've got all
Yeah.
the information.
Yes, somewhere in the bottom here I have that. Can I read off yours?
Yep.
Thank you very much, appreciate
Figure
it.
out where you-
Steve, go ahead.
So, at committee, we discussed the award, or the tender submissions, and I have drawn up the prices. We've made no decisions, so we're here tonight hopefully to make those decisions. I guess maybe we could start with recycling. We had a extremely low bid from Canadian Waste Management Incorporated. And I guess I expressed my concerns at committee. I think we all know that sometimes lowest price isn't always in our best interest. So I'm looking for some direction from council on where to go with this.
Councillor Rager?
I think I mentioned that at committee as well. First of all, Bowman Waste Management has done an impeccable job for this township over the years.
Agreed.
I cannot say enough about them, and I think if you speak with anyone throughout the township, they have done a fantastic job. I don't, and I agree with you, Steve, I don't always think that less means best. And especially if the second part of this, if we end up going to the second part and award Canadian Waste Management with the curbside collection, we're putting all our eggs in one basket, and I've got a bit of a concern with that, and especially with some of the reports that I've read as far as their fleet and
Yes.
their different things that has gone on. So my recommendation is I would still like to see us, even though it is a lesser bid, I would still like us to proceed with Bowman Waste Management. And that's just my take on it. Thank you.
Councillor Jackson?
Steve, what is the cost of the recycling as it stands now? So if we were to do 183,801 with Bowman for the recycling tender, is that very much more than what we're currently paying now?
I've
provided a current waste and recycling costs based on my 2014 final values from my budget perspective, and my final values are in the $177,000 range for recycling for 2014. So no, you're not looking at a very large increase. Yes, correct. That's recycling.
It's a little over 3% increase, that's all. For the recycling, I just
Yes.
looked at the recycling. Probably less than that with regards to, the curbside waste collection.
I just look at it as it's very close to 200,000 difference. And somehow we're gonna have to justify why. It's a $200,000 savings for a municipality. I understand, and I quite well agree, and I know I was through the last time when we awarded the system, and Bowman's were good enough afterwards to take it back over at the same bid as they had in previously. So I understand, and I do understand the concerns, and I understand what you're saying as well, but I look at it, it's $200,000 over 5 years, which is $40,000 per year.
Thank you. I am actually very uncomfortable with how low of a bid that Canadian Waste Management put in. And that price they submitted includes their cost to get rid of the material, if they choose to take it to the Waste Recovery Center at $60 a ton. So I'm not I'm shocked at the price, and it makes me very nervous.
I'm not sure what discussions you had with Canada Waste Management, but I'm wondering if they are knowing what they're getting into here. I don't know the specifics of the job like Bowman's been doing and all that, as far as how many trips they're running and stuff, because I've got concerns. Like, you take someone like the Northway down there, I understand they got a full load of cardboard every 2 weeks and a full load of plastic every 2 weeks. Is that something Waste Management has even looked at? Because you would have to know all that if you're running a special trip twice from one business location. How do you factor that in?
Correct. This is being bid from a company that's out of Mississauga. The only thing they know is, with respect to our situation, is basically the average tons that we recycle every year. That's really all they're aware of at this point.
So basically, if they came here, they'd be told, that's the job, you do it.
Yeah.
But the way I read a lot of correspondence that I got from Bowman and just from talking to everybody, there is a fairly substantial risk for the township. Like, someone like Canada Waste could say, hey, we'll do that, and they really could leave 90 days later and 100 days later, and we got to crawl back to these guys and say, what now?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that, because I wouldn't want to be the one doing that.
I don't think it's a good idea, because that's too much of a discrepancy. They don't even have their own plant, so where are they going to put this stuff? Are we going to be stuck with this? I'm kind of worried about that. That's too low a bid. If it was like $60,000 or $70,000 between the two, you'd say, okay, maybe they can do it, but that's too low.
In the comments that I think our Public Works Director from Laurentian Valley gave are quite,
Sugar-coated?
sugar-coated. I'm, have lots of involvement when I first started at Laurentian Valley with Canadian Waste Management, and I too have great concerns with regards to their fleet, with regards to their breakdowns, with regards to some of the service that they provide. I think he says at the beginning there was growing pains, and that's when Mr. Beam came on board in 2012. Prior to that, the contract was there before he got there. There was certainly some pains, and I was really glad that he came and he was dealing with them. My biggest concern is with their fleet, and also the fact that they may not have done all of their homework with regards to what the volume is or the area that is required for pickup, and I think that they would be losing money and therefore would back out, and we would be forced to find somebody quickly, and then would be forced to look at higher costs. When you look at it, I know it's $200,000 different. It is over a 5-year period, and it is only about $40,000 difference per year. I think for the ratepayers of the Township of Whitewater region, the $40,000 a year difference is well worth it, and it is only a 3% increase from last year's, from 2014. I know I certainly would like to see the $40,000 in Whitewater's pocket rather than in somebody else's pocket, but I think at this time it's crucial that we make sure that we get the proper service for what we want to provide to the ratepayers.
I don't want to sound out of line. You guys know I'm all just learning this, and if I'm out of line on this, just let me know. But the tendering process and how that works, is it, and I don't want to kind of pin Bowman against the wall, but is it possible, looking out for Darrell, that council, that Bowman could reprice that just to give us a little break, or that's not the way things work? It's that or nothing. No, I didn't mean for $200,000. More fun that way.
Resorts.
Two things. I mean, if these people were that concerned, I don't think there's any letters that have been sent to the CAO that has been addressing their concerns. It's been a phone call. I think if they were really, really worried, they would be starting to send letters to our CAO, and I think that's one thing that we should be looking at. I've heard phone calls after phone calls. I'm just saying that, and I look at this, and we were through this the last time, Steve, with the waste, the garbage pickup. We got an extremely low bid the last time, and it was a tremendous saving to our township because we had such a low, and so I would look at the $200,000 plus we do have to give reason back why, so we need to have some strong reasoning on why we're not accepting the lowest bid.
That's Councillor Olmsted, and you're the last, and we will go to a vote.
I think this tender process that we went through accomplished what we had hoped it would accomplish. Sorry, one question before I make another remark. The current curbside recycling collection, does that total include both commercial and residential, the 177?
Yeah, all I took that from is my budget figures that the treasurer provides to me.
Okay.
And it just looks at my budget values for the year and my finals actuals that I spent.
Okay.
That's what I've got for recycling.
So in totality, just quick math on the waste collection, it's about $2,000 per year, so $10,000 versus our current bid, and that's over 5 years. So virtually no increase for the next 5 years is what we've accomplished with the, and sorry, I'm comparing that to the Bowman waste management proposal. So there's virtually no increase that we've accomplished for the next 5 years using Bowman. And on the recycling, it works out to about a $70,000 difference. And that, so just want to be clear that we're using a $200,000 difference. That's versus the Canadian Waste Management bid, which we have some issues on. But it's actually a $70,000 increase from current, not a $200,000 increase. So in totality, we're looking at a $70,000 increase over 5 years on $1.6 million contract, which I think is outstanding. I don't think, as a former buyer, I'd be getting all kinds of bonuses for this kind of so, not that I'm suggesting that, but I really strongly suggest, with all the issues that I've heard, I've talked to quite a few people in different regions, my recommendation would strongly be that we continue on with Bowman for both services.
Okay, that's end of our discussion on recycling. We'll move to waste pickup weekly. Steve.
Thank you. So we have, in my opinion, 3 very good prices for waste. One of them being Canadian Waste Management, one of them being Bowman's, and one of them being NJL Services. Now, initially I had some concerns about NJL Services being able to acquire an MOE license, but after speaking with the ministry today, the ministry has a new online program, and you can get your hands on a license to haul waste within a couple of days. It's much, much faster than the way it used to be. But I look at those 3 in particular. I think all 3 of those prices are very good. But again, you're back to Canadian Waste Management that we have concerns with respect to their fleet.
Councillor Mackay.
What was the cost last year, or the last per year?
For waste?
Yeah.
$117,500 were my final budget figures for the year.
So how much of an increase is that if you go with the...
Councillor Olmsted.
Sorry, that's the comment, maybe I spoke out of turn earlier, but that's the comment I had with, it was $10,000 over 5 years is the total increase.
Okay.
So virtually no increase. It's 0.0001% increase over 5 years.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Where is this MJL Services? Where are they based out of?
Beachburg.
The concern Steve had was at present there is no license involved.
There is no license at present, but I spoke with MOE this morning. because the bidder commented to me that he can acquire a license very quickly. And I question that because my experiences with the MOE is that everything happens at a snail's pace. So I called them, and they have a new online program where they can acquire a license very, very quickly, unless they're hauling hazardous waste or asbestos. Then it's a drawn-out process.
Okay. Any other comments on the garbage? Councillor right here.
If I can just ask then, for NJL Services, Steve, is their fleet, like he would have enough in a fleet to do this?
He has
And you would have
no
no concern?
fleet right now, other than a very large trailer, but what his intent is to purchase the trucks that our current service provider uses right now. That's what I was informed of.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
I would recommend Bowman for both the contracts at this time.
It's on the table. Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just wondering because the lowest bid is from the Whitewater region. If we, and we are looking at the curbside recycling to the highest bidder, that maybe in fairness that we award, and my thoughts are to award to the lowest bid for the garbage pickup, and if the wishes are that we go with the Bowmans for the recycling, as the former deputy mayor used to say, I could live with that.
Councillor Jackson.
I think going with somebody that has never entered into waste collection, does not have the equipment, doesn't have a license, we're putting ourselves in a bit of a jeopardy situation. Bowman is a reputable company. They're in the business currently. We're satisfied with their service for recycling right now. We do have a different service what is it called? The people that pick up the garbage right now?
Direct Express.
Direct Express.
It's a
All I
courier
could
company.
think of was Direct Energy, but Direct Express. I know over the last couple of contracts we've gone, it's been a new person each time, and there's always growing pains. I think Bowman knows the route. They're a very reputable company, and I stand with my recommendation.
Councillor Olmsted.
I would second that proposal by Councillor Jackson. And I just want to add, make no mistake, Direct Express did not submit a tender. And there's reasons that they did not submit a tender. And Canadian Waste Management's tender is much less than Direct Express current bid. So I agree with Councillor Jackson that this is a special area that needs to be looked after.
Councillor Ragier.
Just a final thought here. I'm just wondering, prior to our vote, if we could perhaps direct our CAO just to send a thank you to Kevin Collins from Direct Express, because he did do a great job for our township in the last 4 years, and just thank him for his services.
I will be doing that, and I
sorry.
spoke to him today and verbally said that to him.
Very good.
He's done a great job.
He absolutely has, and I think to put it in writing is just one step further from council. Thank you, Steve.
Reeve Miller.
Yeah, I would like to point out that the whole Bowman staff is here, and that's got to tell us something too. And these are the people that have been making it happen, and I'm going to agree with Charlene and Chris, and even though I couldn't find a way to hammer the price down, I guess we got to go. So anyway, I support it 100%.
Councillor McLaughlin, and Councillor McLaughlin's the last person to comment, then we're going to vote.
Okay, my comment again, there we're looking at $35,000. So that's $235,000 difference between the lowest bid and the bids from Bowman. So somewhere along the line, you're going to have to justify why. That's the problem. And as you say, it's a new person. It was a new person last year. The person that Direct Express, which Councillor Reager just praised up, they didn't have a license at the time when they were awarded the tender. It worked out fine. There was no problems with it at all. So I have to disagree with Councillor Jackson. I think, you're looking at $235,000 difference because you're taking the votes, the bidder who is $35,000 higher on your garbage, your waste pickup, and $200,000 higher on your recycling. So somewhere along the line, there has to be justification. So before we finish, when you go for your vote, I'm going to ask for a recorded vote.
All right. Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Reager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region awards the 2015 to 2019 5-year waste collection tender to Bowman Waste Management Systems, Inc. for the amount of $597,354.15. And council award the 2015 to 2019 5-year recycling collection tender to Bowman Waste Management Systems, Inc. for the amount of $956,506.40. Steve?
Sorry, just one, it's 2015 to 2020. It's a 5-year contract.
That's 2015 to 2019.
Right.
Yeah, we have to include this year.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, a recorded vote has been requested. Councillor McLaughlin? Councillor Olmsted? Councillor Jackson? Mayor Johnson?
Back to Hal. I'm thinking yet.
All right. Councillor Mackay? Aye. Councillor Regier? Yay. And Ray Miller?
Yay.
Mayor Johnson?
Nay. Carried. I'll give my reasons at a different time. Gotta get it done. Okay. Moved by Kathy Reager, seconded by David Mackay. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region requests that ArtGob continue to manage the Tourist Bureau and the dedicated volunteer staff for the 2015 season. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Did you want to discuss? I thought he said any discussion. I did say any discussion.
You didn't pause.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering if, and I quite well agree, but I'm wondering if somewhere the CAO would get direction that maybe somebody else would get involved, so that, because Councillor Cobb is moving, his health isn't real great, and I'm just wondering if we had somebody else who maybe help him.
Christine?
To speak to that, Art has been in touch with Deputy Clerk Dillabo. You guys have been discussing that Art actually requested that, he would like to do it this year. Hope does work with him. We're also trying to get a summer student who will be part of the mix. But I agree with you that as time goes by, more than likely, council will have to start and think about the future, and that running the tourist booth may not always be a volunteer position. But for this year, Art feels up to it, and with Hope's help and the student, he's raring to go.
Any other discussion? Oh, Darrell.
And I quite well can understand that. I just was thinking that maybe, another volunteer who might be interested in helping Art, if there was, that was where I was coming from. Councillor, or former Councillor Cobb does a tremendous job and should be recognized every year for the commitment. I'm just wondering if somebody else would be, if there could be somebody else to help them. That's all my comment was.
Yeah, the motion calls for dedicated volunteers and staff. So, I'm sure there's quite a few people available. We hope so. Our deputy CEO will ask, I'm sure. Deputy CEO. I mean,
We'll keep Art up.
it's almost 10 o'clock. It's going to be 10 o'clock soon, so. Councillor Olmsted.
Sorry, I was just gonna add, actually, almost exactly what you said was, there's a number of people that volunteer. I think there's upwards of 40, 50 seniors that volunteer for this, so it's not like Mr. Cobb's on his own. He has a very healthy contingent helping him.
Okay, Councillor.
I think what my main concern was, Councillor Cobb is the one who organizes it. It's not that he does it all his own. No, there's a lot of volunteers.
Yep.
But my concern was that he's the one who organizes and makes sure it goes.
So,
And Hope, I'd like to ask you then if you would work with Art on a succession plan.
okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve proposed consent application B151/14, part of Lot 20, concession to Ross, James and Alice Roach with the following conditions. I didn't say that quite right, but anyway, you get the idea. A zoning bylaw amendment of minor variance is finalized to address the cottage setback on the enlarged lot and the reduced lot area. Reduced, okay. I'm gonna read it all over. Okay. Number 1, a zoning bylaw amendment or minor variance is finalized to address the cottage setback on the enlarged lot and the reduced lot area, reduced lot frontage, and the accessory building setback on the retained lot. A registered plan of survey is provided. Saw that? Everybody read that? Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Kathy Regier, seconded by David Mackay. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approves proposed consent application B171/14, part of Lot 9, Concession 5, Beachburg, John Verican, with the following conditions. 1, favorable comments are required from the Township's Septic Inspector, Chief Building Officer Doug Schultz. 2, a registered plan of survey is provided. 3, a draft survey plan showing the building location and common wall location in relation to the proposed lot line is provided. Comments? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Councillor announcements.
Erica did do up a chart as requested for you guys.
only announcement is I will be away on March, I believe it's 4th or 5th, whatever the Wednesday night is. I will be away helping my wife read a book in the sun. March 4th. What? Yeah. I am. I'm good that way, yeah. Any, Councillor Jackson? Councillor, Olmsted? Councillor McLaughlin?
Oh, two questions. First off, are we interested in participating in the St. Patty's Day Parade in Douglas? If there's any thought, I found the float. The float seems to be still outside. The float is still dressed for Santa Claus.
That not likely will work for Irish people.
No, it certainly won't, but my concern is, what are we going to do? Are we going to dismantle it, put it away, or are we just going to let the weather take it?
Our understanding was it was going to be put away.
My understanding is that past practice was we took it down, we put it away.
Okay.
The Public Works brought it, I guess, from Westmeath. I don't know. I found it in the snowdrift at Forster's Falls Fire Hall. And the other question to me is, and this may be directed to the CAO, are we looking for a new sign for it, or are we ready just to disband it?
Okay, Councillor Jackson.
Not knowing the past practice with regards to dismantling the Christmas float, but if we were made aware of that, we certainly would have dismantled it. I had no idea where it went after the Westmeath Parade, so I can't even say. But if I was told otherwise, I would have shown up and helped dismantle it. I agree that the sign probably could use some work. I don't know that it actually has to be totally replaced at this time. Perhaps it can just be reinforced with some wood around it, or I have no idea, but it's probably due. Yeah.
It's cracked and the letters are falling off, but a new double-sided banner would not be that expensive. The care and feeding of the float seems to have been an issue for a while. To you folks on how you want to proceed.
Councillor Mackay.
Daryl's looking at me kind of funny, but I was under the illusion that it was going to be brought back and put into that shed, so that's where I thought it was. I didn't bring it back. Somebody brought it back.
Could we direct our manager to have somebody snowplow a hole and jam it into something to protect it, and if need be, we will take it down to get it there? Councillor McLaughlin.
I think maybe what should happen is, because it depends. If this council wants to pay for it, I'm sure Public Works will take it apart and will put it away, but there's always a cost factor involved.
Well,
So,
probably only cost $20.
Oh,
Is there a chance that we could just paint what we have green and head for?
is there an interest? I guess is
Douglas.
what I'm going around. We have shamrocks. I think it's. No, I think it'll be the Saturday before.
It'll have to be.
I could, it eludes me right at the moment. I can't think. It'd be the Saturday before this. No, it's usually the Friday night, isn't it? Friday night? I think so.
Can I make a suggestion that we find out when the parade is and we talk about it on March 4th?
Yep.
It is 5 to 10, and it's time to go home.
Yep. No other. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to go. I'm only half Irish.
I have a Scottish background. I have a lot of trouble with green, unless it's
Well,
plaid.
well, then, as I see around the table, maybe there's no interest then. So,
Yeah. Okay. Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approves that the following bylaws be introduced, read, dealt with, numbered, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed and recorded in the bylaw book. 1-1502-776 confirmation bylaw. Any discussion?
Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed, if any, carried.
Yeah, I was reading for, I just started reading the other night.
Moved by David Mackay, seconded by Kathy Reager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region adjourns the meeting of February 18th, 2015 at 9:55 p.m. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried.